Hey everyone, how's it going out there? Phil Monteleone, the book peddler, coming to you from my little shop in Smithville Flats, New York. If you haven't, I hope you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Book Peddler. You stay up to date on book picks, in-store, out-store activity, book reviews. I have a business playlist on my selling experiences. And so, yeah, I appreciate everybody's support. It's been a while since I made a video. And this is the fourth time me attempting to make this one. My camera kept screwing up, and then I started drinking a little bit, and then it just, everything kept getting worse. So hopefully all goes well and this thing gets put out. So I'm sorry I've been a little late on the videos. Before I get started, I want to say I got an Instagram that'll be linked up in the information below. So yeah, you can follow me on that as well if you'd like. I'm going to post special books like every other day or every third day or something to that effect. So if you'd like, you can follow along and see the new things coming in the shop. Not everything gets put on a video, but I think it's just another avenue for free marketing. And of course, if you see anything, reach out and check out the seller site as well, linked up. You can help support the channel and my business, and contact me directly and we could do business. So I would like to give shout outs to the new subscribers. Caleb Olson. Caleb purchased a couple books off me. I hope you enjoy the books, Caleb. I appreciate the support. Gaming with the is something like this. Nick Albright, Juan Oliva, Bayern Shinobi, Dustin Andrews, Susan Cross, Rowan Cobb, Rojo, Young 5J. Thank you all for your subscriptions. Rowan, I hope you got your book. Rowan bought a Twain book, A Yankee in King Arthur's Court. So I hope you're enjoying that, Rowan. I appreciate your support, brother. And also Joe up in Syracuse. Joe found me on the YouTube, and he just ordered the beautiful 2-volume Headley set. Thank you very much, Joe. I hope you enjoy your set. It'll be in the mail soon. So with all that being said, I decided I'd give you a little different viewpoint of the shop. This is in the back of the shop, so why not change the scenery? Got my nice glass case here, and with some beautiful titles and a lot of wonderful books behind me. Now my shop is open right now, so if someone comes, I'm going to hit pause. But I think the initial rush, the people who come in will, people will show up at some point, hopefully not during the video, but I'll have to hit pause and continue on. What I wanted to do was a review on a documentary called The Booksellers. I took my notes here. I thought it was an excellent documentary. I recommend you guys checking it out if you have the time, linked in the description below. There was something about the documentary that I did not like, and I'm going to put that in the end. That'll be the red meat. Something that I thought really kind of took away from it as a whole. Overall, enjoyed it immensely, so I want to give my review on it with some notes here. So what this documentary did was it was covering the New York Antiquarian Book Fair and individual sellers, kind of a behind the scenes and their thoughts on the evolution, of the book industry and book collecting. And it was very interesting. There were some excellent people they had on there. Now, one of them, his name is Adam Weinberger. Adam, I think he's a great bookseller. He conducts himself well. He's extremely knowledgeable when it comes to antiquarian books. And I've briefly dealt with him in the past. He's helped me price a couple books. I would love to check out his collection in the city, but the current state of affairs, I ain't interested in going to the city right now. But Adam has a YouTube channel. Is it better than mine? Well, it's pretty good. So I think you all would enjoy it and find a lot of benefit of watching his channel. So that'll be linked in the description. But people were talking about the Strand bookstore, Argosy, those who had to close their businesses, all these different fond memories on the old book dealers in the city. And one person was saying how they were talking about the old Jewish men sitting out front, the old dusty Jewish men with their nicotine cake fingers, and they thought all they wanted to do really was in it to read books. They didn't want to be bothered, and they didn't really even have interest in selling much. I just love the imagery and the nostalgia about that. I thought that was really cool. But they're also talking about book scouts, and book scouts don't really exist anymore, and they go into talking about one specific book scout. And these guys, they would go to the sales, they would go to estate sales all over on the hunt for material to bring back to used bookstores and dealers. And, I have, I guess, what you could kind of call as book scouts. I have people that are constantly out in the field. They might have other areas of interest, but they keep their eyes open for specific books and titles. We have a nice little symbiotic relationship. They make some money, I make money, and they're being educated as they buy, and I sell on their behalf. Basically, it's a very nice working relationship that's been developed since the 6 years I've been here. Now, one sad statistic that was brought up was that in the 50s, it was noted that there was 368 shops in the city. Today, only 79 exist. Now, last year, before the whole Corona thing, I was reading articles that said people opening used bookstores were up 15%. It was a very encouraging statistic. What does it look like now? I have no idea. People are closing, and it's pretty horrible that's happening. I promise you, I ain't going nowhere, but it's very sad state of affairs. And but one thing that I wish I did more in the documentary was show special items that dealers either were keeping or had for sale. They did do a pretty good job on it, but I wanted to see more of the individual dealers and what their most prized possessions. So the coolest one that I seen on there was 1907 photo album titled "The Search for Mammoth," and it was about an expedition team that went up to Alaska hunting for woolly mammoths. They found them, and in the book itself is actual real live mammoth hair. I thought that was amazing. I'd love to own a book like that. Some of the other books, there was a Leonardo Codex, and they showed it sold at auction for $28 million. Isn't that it's so incredible, the finds that are out there, and there still is a lot. I could be mistaken, but I believe the first edition Book of Mormon has only been found in upstate New York. Again, I may be wrong on that, but I always think maybe when I'm going into one of these old barns and on the hunt, that I may come upon that. And, I mean, it'd be life-changing. It'd be pretty incredible. I think it's like a $80,000 value on that. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on these things, but it's significant value. So they talk about the evolution of book selling and how the internet's played a role. And I found one statement a dealer said to be very accurate. When it comes to the internet, you have to have either the best, the cheapest, or the only copy. I find this to be very true in the general scope of things. In such a game of undercutting people or holding strong, it's a hard thing to gauge. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Undoubtedly, the more you handle the material, the more comfortable you are at putting a price on it and doing what needs to be done. But the hunt is the best part in all. I love the hunt of books. But so basically, there seemed to be a general consensus that antiquarian books are undervalued. I'd agree 100%. Quick example, I had a beautiful cloth-bound book on Washington, and it's in one of the previous videos, beautiful gold block lettering in it, steel engravings filled, just profusely illustrated with different kinds of illustrations. It was beautiful. I sold it for $125. To me, I was holding a $400 book. So, but that's the way it goes. That's what the market dictates. Now, Adam Weinberger says, quote, "The problem today is that private collectors are becoming increasingly scarce." Now, I would agree to a large extent. However, I'm not as pessimistic as a lot of the dealers may be. I feel like I can recognize the reality of a reduction of reading, but every year I do turn on a new person to collecting. And one of the things I do enjoy is help building someone's book collection. So one person in particular that's close to me, I'm never going to read. I ain't interested in reading. Well, he just didn't have the right book. We're not in school. We don't have to write reports. Take the axe to your TV and work this muscle a little bit, right? It needs to move. And I got him a book he loves duck hunting. So it's a collection of duck hunting stories. He couldn't put it down. Next thing you know, he's texting me for more titles. And now he's building up his collection. He read Gene Hill on mostly tail feathers, on hunting birds. He really loves Gene Hill. I said, hey, you should try out some George Bird Dog Evans if you have the chance, and maybe compare the two. You might enjoy him as well. So he's really getting into it. He says it's also helped his articulation. It's helped his overall, what's the word for it? I can't remember the word I'm looking for. But it's helped him in his, comprehension skills went up. And that's carried over to his business as well. It's a great thing. So I love building collections, and every year I turn on someone new. Also, they talked about the collecting, how it's changed, and how ephemera is becoming very desirable. And I've noticed an uptick in that kind of thing as well. The odd printed materials, the ads, so my buddy, he's collecting the duck hunting books now, and woodsman stuff, and maybe he likes the advertisement of Winchester calendar to add to that collection. It broadens its net value, and it makes it even more interesting as well. So I would agree. Another thing that the internet did, to get back to that was very interesting, they had an archivist on, a curator of printed work. And he has sold, maybe not this particular individual, but they talked about selling musicians' works and authors' works, their notes, to museums and stuff. And basically what you have laid out in their notes is the process of thinking and how they're coming at things and making connections. And you can see that visibly in front of you. With the internet, if more people are tapping away on that, you're not going to get that anymore. That process is kind of being taken away into their inner mind. And that's kind of a sad thing. But I thought it was a very interesting and accurate observation. If you follow to its end, if that's what people are naturally gravitating to instead of writing physically or typing and making notes, then it's going to be different. So it's a very interesting point there. Now, towards the end of the documentary, Dealer was saying how reading is receding into the background. The attention span is short, and this will affect the commerce of buying and selling books. I do agree, although I do. So let me continue. He saw the way of collecting in the future, if this trend continues, that people may be interested in them in terms of viewing books as artifacts. And I already kind of do, and I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. Because for me, it gives the book a little bit more respect, and people will have more respect for them and take care of them better. Now, again, I'm a little bit more, I'm not as pessimistic in certain ways. Again, I recognize the change that has continued. But again, if you just turn on that one person and get them the right book, it can be really life-changing. And I did an interview with Michael Slicker of Lighthouse Books down in Florida. He's in Dade City now, and I check out that interview. Maybe I'll put a little card up right now, and check it out when you're done with this review. But he sees a lot of young people coming in, and that is very encouraging, and he sees them at the book fairs as well. So very cool. Now, the next thing that I will say before I get into the red meat of it is what Adam Weinberg said. All the dealers at the end are sitting around a table discussing, and they said, basically, if you could be a bookseller again and have to do it over, would you do so? I found what Adam said to be very honest, and I do agree. He said, absolutely not. I would never be a bookseller. And let me explain that. How he said, in his own words, he loves the hunt. We both love the hunt. But the difficulty of being an antiquarian book dealer in terms of the supply is limited, the demand is limited, and the business itself is extremely difficult to pull off. And not to mention, as he says, when you're buying and selling, you literally have to be a psychologist. It's such an art form, and it's so different person to person, the different personalities you interact with. And to be a great seller itself, the salesman aspect of it, we're selling books here to relay the importance of it, the uniqueness of it. It's quite a difficult thing. And it is hard on the body, believe it or not. Hauling books to fairs and shows and continuing up with it and doing the picks, it's a lot different than most people think. It's been very romanticized, and they talk about that a bit in the documentary. But the reality is, it is a difficult business. I love it, but that's just what it is. So let me check the time on the camera, guys. Much time do I got here? Looks like I got 15 solid minutes left, and thankfully I haven't been interrupted. Let's get to what I didn't like about it. And it was about 20 minutes. I thought it was kind of unnecessary how it was talked about. To be honest with you, I didn't enjoy it. So I'll start with this. They were showing people's private collections, which are beautiful. One lady in particular is collecting books on women's role in history specifically. She's doing a great job preserving it, and it's excellent. Kudos to her. Then it proceeds on. So Heather and Rebecca Romney was the expert on the Pawn Stars. I almost said the porn stars. And so she was the book expert. And Rebecca's a babe. And if you ever watch this, Rebecca, I say you ditch that Heather girl. You come with me, we'll create a book empire, babe. We'll take this business over. So I have a crush on Rebecca. I think she is beautiful. She's articulate. She handles herself well, extremely knowledgeable on books, and she's gorgeous. If I didn't say that already 2 or 3 times. So anyway, Heather and Rebecca have a bookstore called Honey and Wax in the city. And they want to encourage young women for collecting books. Good. Go ahead. That's a great thing. Now, Heather said that when she became a member of the ABAA, 85% of people in the book trade were men and 15% were women. And she said that she was told the scales were going to tip, and that was 17 years ago, and things still haven't changed. She sees this as a problem. Okay, whatever. They said women are underappreciated, and there were notable ones that were behind the scenes, cataloging, etc., and they don't get the recognition they deserve. Okay, fair enough, point made. But however, these women never actually own the business. They are recognized for what they did. Who's not recognizing them was my question. And again, their name isn't on the business. So, okay. Then Rebecca's making a point that to see women owners as exceptions to the trade is undercutting their importance within the trade because they've been involved in many other aspects. Well, for one, women owning a bookstore is the exception. Is there anything wrong with that? They seem to think so. But you can't force people into what they're interested in. They're either going to be interested in running a business or not. So I don't think that there's any pillars standing in a woman's way not to own a business. In personal experience, I've never met a bookstore owner that's a woman. And I've been all over. It's just the fact of the matter. It is the exception. So I don't see how she's saying that dealers in the general public would view their contribution as somehow less than equal to men. It didn't make much sense. Like, what are you asking for? You want rewards given to these women because they're women dealers? I don't think anybody also has prejudice as to who they buy a book from. I don't care if you're a purple dinosaur. If you know what you're doing, if you know how to buy and sell, and you have desirable material, people are going to buy it off you. I would never think somebody would prejudice against that. I thought they were kind of looking for a fight almost where it wasn't. And I didn't see where are people discriminating women from owning stores. Again, this is ridiculous. I started asking myself, what am I watching here? Are we talking about book selling anymore? So anyhow, move on. Then the 3 women of the Strand chime in, and one of them said that they would be asked from a customer about a book as a last resort, basically. And the individual would ask whoever the man was in the room. And I'm thinking, like, you think this is done purposeful? Like, what? Why is all this in this documentary? Then they talk about the Groiler Club. It had a boys' club feel to it. I don't know extensively about the Groiler Club, but I know it's a book club of probably sellers and preserving history. And to me, it was just kind of traditional that it was men in this club. And it was probably extremely imbalanced because men are the majority of the dealers. And so naturally, at some point, you'd figure, well, women would start to be added in, which at this time they are. And it's like, hey, no disrespect. I love being around women. I like women too. But, you know, sometimes it's nice to have a little guy time. Just saying, like, get a woman in there. They start moving stuff around, you know, probably nagging you. And these old guys probably fantasize just stuffing a paperback down the gullet, you know. So I'm playing around and having fun. If you don't like that, lighten up, okay? Life's too short. But anyhow, as far as I know, women are allowed into the society now. these are some of the more important things that I did not like. Quote, the profession has catered to affluent white men. Okay, why are we bringing race into this? For one, it's a book documentary. And if these are the people buying the books, why wouldn't you cater to them? Quote, doesn't think the trade will remain relevant unless the trade changes and grows to encompass other points of view, or it won't be reflective on the population and readers and collectors that exist. Well, how so? Are you trying to say that we should force a change in the industry? What people are interested in is going to determine the market. Why are you trying to force change is beyond me. If it's older white men that are buying, did they ever consider that when people get older and they have more expendable cash, and if the majority, and they probably appreciate antiquarian material more for one, and they have the leisure time, and they're going to buy special books like that. If the majority of them are white men, what does that matter? Does that actually matter? Why does it matter so much to you? Quote, I'm the only black person walking the floor. I think that's changing, but we have to be aware of the diversity of material we're circulating. Again, if you want to encourage more blacks to get in the trade, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But do you think, again, that people are prejudiced against blacks being in the trade? No, that's asinine. I'm the only black in the room. So what? I mean, good for you. What do you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? I thought this is so unnecessary and starting to take away from the documentary as a whole. I guess if that's what you see as being important, okay, then encourage it among women and blacks. But if things haven't changed and you still try to encourage it, there's nothing wrong with it. But it seems like borderline forcefulness to try to force a change. If it's not there, it's not there. Would you leave people alone? Quote, there's a lot of people in the old guard that are not really interested in getting anything new. They don't like the boat being rocked. Dealers know what they like to collect. They built relationships with customers and clients. They shop for these people. Excuse me. The demand and desirability is there. I'm sure that they'll take note of it and start searching for material like that. So again, I don't quite understand. She goes on by saying, quote, people talk one way and act another. I mean, are we still talking about selling books here? Now I'm getting lost here, so Heather says there's a sense of fatalism where old book dealers say, well, yeah, that's just who buys the books. Well, that is who buys the books, Heather. Like, we shouldn't accept this. I mean, did it ever occur to her that, again, the older people with money who can enjoy their money is probably going to be your best clientele when it comes to rare books? Let me check the thing. Okay, we're in good shape, people. We're in good shape. So if this is what's grinding Heather's gears and keeping her up at night, and that there's something wrong with old white men collecting books, and she says we are actively struggling with this, well, she must have just the best life in the world if this is her number one issue of concern. I mean, she must live like a queen or something out there. I mean, what a noble cause, right? Like, this is her biggest concern. I mean, it should be just promoting reading in general from my point of view and getting people interested like it did for my buddy start collecting. He's a white guy. Is there something wrong with that? Come on, what are we talking about here? It seemed like absolute bullshit. Then Rebecca, my love, says, you have to try person to person. Or I'm sorry, this is the person to person, try to get that needle to move a little bit. Man, if you're in my ear constantly talking about this, get out of my face already. I ain't interested. Like, do your thing. But, okay, here's Rebecca, my love. She says, and if we hit a wall, we'll go around it and try something new. Try something else. I love her motivation. This is because we know change needs to happen for the future of the trade. Why? What change? Changing the demographic of book buyers? Come on, leave people alone. I'm a firm believer of leaving people alone. Their desirability will dictate the market, to reiterate that. I mean, if this is their mission to save the book industry and force a change within the market, I don't get it. It sounded like a bunch of hysteria and just very unnecessary. Collect what you like. Let people decide what they like and what they do with their time and money. So this part of the documentary, it turned me off. I think it took away from it as a whole. I found it very unnecessary, and overall, it made it slightly less enjoyable. You may disagree. Maybe I'm the one that's the hysterical one or finding fault where there doesn't need to be. But that's my personal thought of it, and I'm giving you my honest opinion. I didn't care for this part. I thought it took away from it as a whole. And but again, I thought the documentary overall was very enjoyable. I encourage you all to see it. There is a documentary that I watched years ago, which sometime I'll do a review and link it up, on street vendors, booksellers. And I thought that was excellent. I love the rawness of it. And I just thought that was the best that I've seen. And that sadly has disappeared in the city for the most part. But yeah, I really respect the dealers on there. I really respected their insights and thought that they were very accurate and on point with their perceptions and their experiences in the book trade. I respect them immensely. And yeah, I think that I will wrap up this video by saying, go ahead, check it out. Leave a comment below. Maybe you agree or disagree. I appreciate all your support out there. Still trying to go strong with this whole business and grow as a business. And I hope everybody's well out there. Until next time, take care, guys.